Jai Guru, everybody. I'm Satya here with Ananda Monterey Bay Sunday service, February 7th. Very happy to be here. Beautiful day. And loving to get this opportunity to walk each other home, to affirm together our own greater reality. Let's take a minute and just take a deep breath, natural breath. Let's not let this technology and all the logistics take our attention. We are souls, we are happy, and we are together. If everybody could please just mute their mics to avoid any sound interference. The voice of God calls us to awaken in Him. How will He find us when He comes? And when He asks us to dedicate our lives more perfectly to Him, how will He find us then? Awake and ready, Jai Guru. Let's pray together. Heavenly Father, Divine Mother, friend, beloved God, great masters, Jesus Christ, Babaji Krishna, Lahiri Mahashai, Swami Sri Yukteswarji, Paramhansa Yogananda, saints of all religions, Swami Kriyananda, we lovingly bow to you all. Thank you for this life of seeking. Thank you for making us aware of your reality. Help us to ever remember thee and to invite all those around us to rejoice in thy presence. Om, peace. Amen. We'll have some chanting now, followed by a meditation.
Good morning. This first song is from our friend Bharat Cornell up at Ananda Village, and it's called The Birds of the Air. I'll read the words to you. The birds of the air are my brothers, all flowers my sisters, the trees are my friends. All living creatures, mountains and streams, I take unto my care. For this green earth is our mother. Hidden in the sky is the spirit above. I share one life with all who are here. To everyone I give my love. To everyone I give my love. The birds of the air are my brothers, all flowers my sisters, the trees are my friends, all living creatures, mountains and streams, I take unto my care. For this green earth is our mother. Hidden in the sky is the spirit above. I share one life with my sisters, the trees are my friends, all living creatures, mountains and streams, I take unto my care. For this green earth is our mother, hidden in the sky is the spirit above. I share one life with all who are here. To everyone I give my love. To everyone I give my love. I share one life with all who are here. To everyone I give my love. To everyone I give my
Let's prepare to meditate together and take this beautiful chant from Master's heart into meditation super consciously. Let's ensure our bodies are alert and completely relaxed. Relax the muscles of the skull, your ears, and your forehead. And gaze attentively and gently at the point between the eyebrows. And mentally only continue on with this chant for a few moments. Door of my heart, open wide I keep for thee. Door of my heart, open wide I keep for thee. Let's meditate for a few minutes. remaining inwardly calm, outwardly relaxed, and with the clearest of minds. Let's listen to these words from Affirmations for Self-Healing by Swami Kriyananda. This week, week number 6, the topic of work. Work should be done with a creative attitude, never for the sake of selfish gain, but for the chance it gives us to help create a better world. Those who work with the thought of pay live in the future. They lose the habit of living here and now, where alone true happiness can be found. Work should always be done as well as possible, not out of self-conceit, but in gratitude for the free gift of life, of sunshine, of water, of air, and in gratitude simply for our God-given power to be useful to our fellow man. Practice this affirmation now the way Paramhansa Yogananda taught, first loudly in your own homes with vigor and strength, then in a normal speaking voice, as if the truth were completely natural to your soul, then in a whisper, as if whispering to your inner consciousness, and then finally mentally only, superconsciously at the point between the eyebrows. So please repeat after me. I will do my work thinking of thee, Lord. I offer to thee the very best that is in me. I will do my work thinking of thee, Lord. I offer to thee the very best that is in me. Repeating after me in a whisper, I will do my work thinking of thee, Lord. I offer to thee the very best that is in me. Silently now, with our attention focused at the point between the eyebrows. I will do my work thinking of thee, Lord. I offer to thee the very best that is in me. I will do my work thinking of thee, Lord. I offer to thee the very best that is in me. I will do my work thinking of thee, Lord. I offer to thee the very best that is in me. And a prayer. Beloved Lord, who so wonderfully created the high, snowy mountains, the bounding rivers, the colorful, fragrant flowers, the vast, heaving oceans, and the distant, glittering stars. Manifest through me thy perfect joy. Om, peace. Amen. And now this week's reading from Rays of the One Light, weekly commentaries on the Bible and the Bhagavad Gita. Week number 6, the topic, the importance of soul receptivity. Truth is one and eternal. Realize oneness with it in your deathless self within. The following commentary is based on the teachings of Paramhansa Yogananda. Chapter 1 of the Gospel of St. John states, "But as many as received him, to them gave he power to become the sons of God, even to them that believe on his name." This was a passage Paramhansa Yogananda often quoted to his disciples. Be in tune, he would tell them. Delusion can't touch you if you will keep in tune. A few of you will fall, he said once, but it needn't be if you would stay in tune. Of a disciple who became highly advanced, even though she didn't meditate much, he said, she got there by attunement. To one who found meditation difficult, he said, I will meditate for you as long as you stay in tune. Truth is a state of consciousness, not a well-worded definition. It is in that consciousness, above all, that our lives are transformed. Therefore, the Bhagavad Gita says in the 10th chapter, "To those who are ever attached to me and who worship me with love, I impart discernment by means of which they attain me. Out of my love for them, I, the divine within them, set alight in them the radiant lamp of wisdom, thereby dispelling the darkness of their ignorance." Thus, through Holy Scripture, God has spoken to mankind. Om. Om. Om.
Good morning to all our wonderful friends. Welcome to a beautiful Sunday service. Thank you, Satya. I've known them forever. They've haunted my slumber and called to me out of the deeps of space. The love that they promised has helped me remember another time, a caring embrace. Dark eyes in the morning, dark eyes in the evening, dark eyes in the starlight at end of day, dark eyes that speak silence, they whisper, "Come find me." You'll never know true love if you stay. Now I seek them in the winter time, oh, I seek them in the spring. Those two dark eyes draw my heart away to where sun and moon sing. I left now in the summertime when ripples on the river play. I laugh soaring with the meadowlarks. Love has made my heart gay. I've known them forever. They've haunted my slumber and called to me out of the deeps of space. The love that they promised has helped me remember another time, a caring embrace. Another time, a caring embrace.
Thank you for that, Sam. Topic of work and soul receptivity. I feel that the only thing to start talking about with this subject is the experience of work days, of Rajasi days and Lahiri days up in Ananda village, which are 2 times the year dedicated to outwardly bettering the community, in a more subtle and inward way, getting to talk to people in the community that you often don't see. It's a funny thing. We all live with, when you live in the community, you're always 10 minutes away from each other. But if you work in different areas, you often don't run into each other. So during a work day, it's great to jump into an activity that normally you don't get to do. You can plant flowers next to somebody who works in the IT department, and you're in part of the Sangha department, and get to catch up and really feel this oneness and feel this togetherness, doing something that neither of you are attached to, doing something that hopefully neither of you are identified with. It's not the act itself, it's the energy and the consciousness and the sphere of thinking that open up while you let your heart flow, your hands work, your feet work. I saw this beautiful meme on Facebook where it was a picture. It was basically just a picture, but it was Krishna sitting as the deity and the devotee. And the devotee had a basket of bananas, and off to the side were a bunch of the actual banana, like the actual edible part of the banana was thrown on the ground and discarded and forgotten about. And the devotee was giving Krishna the banana peels lovingly, attentively, full of devotion, full of care, full of meaning. And it's just a beautiful picture to say that it's not the banana that Krishna wants. It's our love. It's our giving. Much in the same way that the other day at work, there was this beautiful little toddler, maybe 2 or 3 years old, and she's often bored, you know. She's often, her mother is cleaning and she's kind of out, and I work as a maintenance technician at apartment complexes. So she's out and I'll say, hi, hi. And her latest thing is she'll say, where's Preston? And Preston is the little boy who lives next door that she loves to play with. But she's always like ready to play like 2 hours earlier than he is. You know, where's Preston? Where's Preston? And I'm like, you know, at first, you know, I'm not used to talking to toddlers. So I'm like, oh, Preston's inside. Maybe it's time to be patient. You know, she's like, where's Preston? I'm like, oh, and I try to like have this intelligent conversation with her. Oh, you know, sometimes, you know, maybe it's good to go help mommy and then coming down, you know, where's Preston? And so eventually our conversation went to me making animal noises and her thinking that was hilarious. And we just sort of shared a few minutes of laughter together. But on another day, what I did was, it was after we had these big windstorms, and I saw there was a bunch of twigs around, and she was looking very bored and kind of depressed. Her eyebrows were kind of heavy. And I'm like, hey, can you help me? She's like, and I'm like, look at all these sticks. Like, if we could pick up these sticks, that'd be great. And for about 3 minutes, we joyfully gathered all the sticks that we could in our hands. And we're kind of like, you know, and I tossed one at her feet and, you know, we're playing around. And then her mom called her. She dropped the sticks and left, you know, but it was all good. I'm like, that was great. I loved that opportunity just to work with the right attitude, just to be unattached and to have this whole other side of the coin. If stress is one side of the coin, that was the other. You know, if frustration was one side of the coin, that kind of carefree lightheartedness. But in a way, I felt, not out of self-conceit, but I thought that's what we can do for children, is to give them opportunities to behave in such a way where the attitude that behavior anchors is positive, is nice, is successful, and will be the kinds of attitude that lead her later in life to be a successful person, not just to receive successful situations, but to, as we say in the Living Wisdom School created by Swami Kriyananda, but to meet life's challenges courageously. And it's very hard to choose courage if you're not calm. Very hard to choose courage if you're frustrated and you're taking things too heavy. So it's that kind of intensely active, but intensely free in our minds. That's the kind of thing that I like to be able to share with people. And that's the kind of energy, I believe, that Swami wants us to talk about today while talking about work and soul receptivity in the same topic. Soul receptivity. He gave them power to become the sons of God, even those who believe on his name. Yogananda said, name with a capital N refers to the holy Om, the great Amen. In a number of his writings, he referred to it as that devotee perceiving subtler aspects of their own nervous system, their very own nervous system, and retracing the muscles back to the ligaments, back to the bones, back to the lungs, eventually retracing everything that we think we are back to our roots, back to the trunk, the spine, retracing our steps back to where we really are, back to who we are, who we really are, where all the other things fade away and calmness and joy are natural and frustration and anxiety are alien to us. They look very silly. If you've ever been calm, divinely calm, around anybody who's been very frustrated, it's very strange. You see, oh my gosh, how many times I've acted in that same way. And you see the inherent, completely palpable, yet one of the most subtle things in the universe, but it's plain as day, you know? The name, the holy Om, believing on his name. Yogananda also gave commentary on that, not just believing on the name, listening to the holy Om. And if you don't have the Om technique, or you don't hear the Om and the Om technique, the act of endeavoring to listen is amazing. And Swami Kriyananda said, I believe maybe Yogananda said it too, Hong Sa turns into Om. When we say, you know what I want in life maybe not be my creation. Maybe it's not my doing that's going to bring me or anybody around me the highest happiness. Maybe it's time for me to listen. Maybe it's time for me to watch. Maybe it's time for me to actively, simultaneously forget and remember, forget what hasn't served you, forget the past, remember the teachings, remember the thought currents of our masters. Remembering, listening, remembering the holy Om, thinking about the holy Om, contemplating the holy Om within us and around us and everywhere. Patanjali said in the Yoga Sutras, Yogananda echoed this thought that Om itself is God. That, you know, I could offer commentary on that. I think I'd be straying further from the truth. They said over and over again, Om is God. In the autobiography of a yogi, Ramagopal said, Lahiri Mahashai, I'm paraphrasing, Lahiri Mahashai has told us that Kriya Yoga is without a doubt, the highest path. But after perceiving the Lord within, we see soon him without and everywhere. That inner Om, our own body temple, us strengthening our muscles of readjusting our attention to the world, whether it's a happy world or a sad world, from adjusting our attention to always putting something outside us as more important and the most meaningful. Strengthening that muscle that says, first, no. Sometimes no is all we can do. And if that's all we can do, then that's the best thing we can do. Sometimes just saying no to delusion is all we can do. The Master said, I don't ask you to overcome it. I just ask you to resist it. So a no is the first. Then what's the yes? You know, what do we believe in, right? We believe in the Om. We believe in the techniques. Maybe you've reading the AY or some other book from our line of gurus, and a certain thought current is just mesmerizing your mind right now. For me, when I first read the AY years in my master's hermitage with Sri Yukteswar, I would just I'd be working on this organic farm, and I would just be thinking about these powerful, stern, but completely just matter-of-fact statements from Sri Yukteswar on whatever I was doing, whether I was picking salad or picking tomatoes or doing this or doing that. I would be thinking, you know, the deeper the self-realization of a man, the more he influences the entire universe with his subtle spiritual vibrations, and the less he himself is affected by the phenomenal flux, right? noticed the times in your life where these quotes come back to you, and not in a vague way, not in a way where it's a little tiny whisper in another language, but when it actually, in that moment, when you remember, it becomes your immediate reality. It becomes the center of your situation. If you're having a good time and you remember these thought currents and you get the goosebumps, and all of a sudden, whatever good time you're having, you can smile at it from a distance. You know, you could be at Disney World, or you could be with friends, family, you could be getting a new vehicle that you've been saving up for, all these things. But if that kind of consciousness comes to you, it all becomes very lighthearted. And most of the time, it won't be, like in my instance, the car that is the most amazing thing, but you notice how amazing the salesperson is. You know, you might notice somebody walking down the street and a little toddler reaching up for mommy, and you get tears. How come? You know, because in that moment you see, not only is that little girl or that little boy completely trusting something, but then you see the mother giving something, and in that moment, in that toddler's mind and in that mother's mind, the whole universe is there. You see it all. You see everything is just right there. And in that moment, you see the beauty, the love, the kindness, the joy, the bliss, the calmness, the meaningfulness echoed. You know, it's the same thing you felt in your life. It's the same thing when you're reading heavy scriptures that mean something to you and you imbibe them and you change your life. The beauty that comes from that is also the beauty that comes in these super small situations. Ram Dass, Baba Ram Dass, the Ram Dass who I believe passed away last year, the one who really helped to share higher consciousness with the West, his guru Maharaji, he said, his big thing was chanting Ram, you know, master Om, you know, more Om, but he was very much into the Ramayana. So he said, go on repeating your lying Ram Ram. One day you'll say it right. That's what he said. Go on, keep trying to live this life. Keep believing in these techniques, keep believing in these truths, keep believing in God, and keep believing in whatever way you believe is getting you there the quickest. Believe it. Because if it's wrong and you really believe it, you'll find out very fast. There's no room for timidness on the spiritual path. Go on, keep believing. One day you'll say it right. And in that moment, you'll see all the times that you said it wrong before, but you'll see that Ram was still with you, watching you, you know? So increasing our receptivity, trying our best, trying a lot, trying more than other people think we should try. You know, most of the time, we're willing to be called fanatical, because increasing our receptivity, are we not always receptive to something? You know, that's the truth. I mean, most people think, oh, I'm doing this or I'm doing that, but who are we when we're like that? You know, we came into this world very receptive to our parents, probably started copying them. So we copied our friends and family until we went to school. And then we started copying our friends. And then before we know it, we can move to another state and be surrounded by strangers, but we're still just copying those people from our past. Master says, wake up, be reborn. Read my stories, listen to my thoughts. You think your life can be better? Well, it's not going to come by thinking the same way. Do away with your thoughts and start putting my thoughts in your mind. If you can't change your actions, at least change your thoughts, right? That's when we can't overcome temptation. That's what Master and Swami Kriyananda taught. Sometimes all we can do is continue on doing, but saying, Lord, I may be doing this, but I know you're doing everything. And have your attention on something more than the XYZ, me, you know? Have your mind be relishing in and romancing with, chewing on something higher. You know, Master said that we need to learn to allow our souls and spirits to soar in the skies of consciousness while our hands and feet labor here on earth. To that's something that I think in terms of increasing your soul receptivity, actively choosing what you are going to mentally romance with. And I like to call it that. I like to call it romancing, you know, the divine romance. Because if you're not careful, you'll catch yourself uh, dull with dullness, romancing with conversations you've had before, conversations you might have in the future, frustrations that you had last week, worries about tomorrow. You'll find yourself chewing on stale things. You'll find yourself romancing with an absent lover. You'll find yourself just doing probably what we've always done and what everybody else is doing in the world, who isn't actively choosing to think the way they want to think, who isn't actively choosing to not be restless, to not be distracted. So we want to be receptive to something higher. We want to be receptive to something big. And besides the inner life of romancing and whispering, not only receiving whispers from eternity, but whispering back, the inner life of a yogi, I think something that we can do on our daily basis is emphasizing kindness. Master said, "Come to me as kindness, Lord of the universe. Come to me today where I know you're real in the form of kindness, in my heart if I'm alone, in my interactions if I'm with people." And I think that when we emphasize kindness and we emphasize a higher mind, a higher emotion, a higher attitude like that, that's how we, if the more that we're there, the more we'll attract thoughts that make sense with that. You know, somebody else might say, "Oh my gosh, that that person at the restaurant took so long, but you were so patient." And you can say, "Oh no, I've actually been very impatient, but I'm doing my best to be kind." You know, that's how the Lord works, is whatever people need to see, that's what they're going to see. But it's all God. That somebody might say, "Oh, wow, your calmness is amazing." And it's like, well, I'm trying to be powerful. "Oh, wow, you know, you're with it's so wise the way that you're thinking and acting." Well, it's also the most loving thing too. You know, it's not just the way we think it is, but it is the way it is. And I think that is one of the most beautiful things on the path, is when we start to see our, this is this is actually a little esoteric and only the something that I've ever thought of, but we talk about biolocation of our bodies being two places than once, right? In the AY we hear biolocation, how amazingly esoteric that is. But what if we identify as being calm? What if we identify as being joy? Well, I'll tell you what, at a workday at Ananda Village, you'll see a joyous self at least 200 times during a workday. You'll see joy biolocating, triolocating, quadolocate. You'll see tons of little blips of joy, and you'll say, "Wow, I am joy, and so are they, and so are they, and we're all here together." And I guess lastly, I'd like to conclude with, when we increase our soul's receptivity to divinity, we also lessen our distractions simultaneously. You can't serve two masters. And just how deeply meaningful and beautiful life becomes when we are very, very, very undistracted. Two examples from Master's life. When he saw a movie, Saint Bernadette, Song of Bernadette, about a saint connected with Lourdes, France, healing waters in Lourdes, France. At the end of the movie, Master was sitting in the theater, and he wouldn't. She ends up passing away in the end of the movie, and he had to wait until the movie started again to see her alive, to feel willing to go and live his day, as if he didn't just have this super impactful, meaningful, deeply moving experience. You know, it's not that he couldn't put on a smile and pretend like it never happened, but why would you want to? Even if it's sad, even if it's tears, feel it deeply. Feel it so deep. Feel it as deeply as you can, and add some hong sa to that. Even add the finger moving a little bit. Don't let that deep feeling be separate from our yoga, because that depth of feeling and our willingness to continue with our techniques is exactly what's going to take us there. The other thing from Master is when Sister Gyanamata passed in the highest, and he told everybody she passed in the highest state of samadhi. At her funeral and days afterwards, he was crying and he was sad. And the disciples around said, "Oh, Master, don't worry. Remember, she's in Nirvikalpa Samadhi and she's free. She's liberated." And isn't that how funny Maya is? You know, the disciples want to remind the Master that she's liberated when it's the Master who told them that she's liberated. But it all made sense then. They said, "Master, don't worry. Don't cry. Don't feel sad. She's liberated." He said, "On this side, I'll miss her. You know, as long as I'm a human, I'm going to be human. And I'm not afraid to miss her. I'm not afraid to remember her." And I think it's with that kind of depth, humility, all the things that come with attunement, all the things that come with walking through life with one of our gurus as your best friend. It's those kind of moments that when we can share with other people and we can cry and we can rejoice and we can live a life fully human and fully in touch with who we really are at the same time. Jai Guru, everybody. I'll end quickly with a whispers reading. This is the demand for the opening of the spiritual eye to find God in everything. My eyes are enthralled, O Father, with the beauty of earthly flowers, with life's passing scenes, and with the sailing silent clouds. Everywhere, all I see hints at thy hidden presence. Open that eye in me which sees only thee. With that gaze may I behold thee above, beneath, all around, within, and outside me. Teach me in all things to see only thee. Open in me that eye which beholds everywhere thy hidden but ever subtly reigning wonder. With that deep love, with that deep joy, and with that broad vision of including everything and everyone in our love, in our life, in our circle of care, in our sphere of consciousness. Let's endeavor now to share the blessings of this path, to share the blessings of our togetherness, to share the blessings of Paramhansa Yogananda with the whole world, with our family and extended families, and in particularly to everyone who we may see this week, that if there's any chance of spontaneous soul awakening, of spontaneous togetherness, of spontaneous freedom, that we would be receptive and willing to respond as a devotee of the Lord. Please repeat after me and we'll send these healing prayers to the whole world. Divine Mother, thou art omnipresent. Thou art in all thy children. Manifest thy healing presence in all bodies, in all minds, and in all souls. Rubbing our hands together the way Paramhansa Yogananda taught us to recharge our bodies, to be most effective, to share the love of God with all whom we meet. Let's share now with the holy Aum. Om Shanti, Shanti, Shanti. Amen. Paramhansa Yogananda Maharaja ki Jai!